A pre-sentence investigation is a report requested by the court, usually developed by a probation officer who conducts a very thorough investigation of the defendant's background and makes a recommendation to the court as to sentence.
David Smith, hi, could you come this way, please? Just have a seat in that chair, please.
The pre-sentence investigation interview is conducted by one of the officers in our department. The interview can be conducted in our office, at the correctional facility, or in the offender's residence.
My name is Nicole Harrington. I'm an adult probation and parole officer here in the pre-sentence investigation division. The purpose of the pre-sentence investigation is to assist the judge in determining an appropriate sentence based on the charges that you've pled to or you've been convicted of. The purpose of the pre-sentence investigation is also to assess your needs in the community and to help the probation and parole department form an appropriate supervision plan. Mr. Smith, I'd like to begin.
The pre-sentence investigation reports do vary in format from county to county in Pennsylvania, although all do include essentially the same information.
Social Security number, please.
Let's see, 524. How many more numbers I got to give?
6.
6. All right. It's 4, 8, 6, 1, 5, and 7.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do you have your Social Security card with you?
No.
In your wallet?
In Philadelphia, the sections of the reports include a family history, an educational history, an employment history, a financial information history, and an evaluative summary at the end where the investigator would make recommendations for future supervision.
What is your current address?
1401 Broad Street.
And how long have you lived at this address?
About 6 weeks, I guess.
Do you live alone or with someone?
I live by myself.
Okay, you just explained to me that you live alone. However, you gave me your mother's address as 1401 Broad Street also.
It's extremely important that the defendant is truthful during the pre-sentence interview. Should the investigator find out that any information provided by the defendant during the interview is inaccurate, that would be noted in the report.
Pre-sentence investigations are highly confidential. We provide a copy to the judge. Copies can be provided to the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney. And should the offender be housed in a correctional facility, a copy would also be forwarded to that facility. Other than that, they're not reviewed by family members, the offender, or any other advocacy or service providers.
It is not a public document, so anybody who is a participant in a pre-sentence investigation should know that they can be as candid as if they were talking to the judge on a one-to-one basis.
Does she live there with you?
Sometimes.
She's in and out of the residence.
Yeah, she goes to work, comes back.
Is there a telephone number for Ms. Smith, home or cell?
No.
The court on its own motion can ask for a pre-sentence investigation, but a defendant also can ask for a pre-sentence investigation. If he or his attorney thought that a thorough report regarding his background or her background would provide the court with a greater understanding of the strengths of the defendant's background, mitigation, sort of an explanation as to why the criminal conduct occurred.
Have you ever spoken to a psychiatrist for any reason?
Just once.
How old were you or what year did you speak to a psychiatrist?
Saw him last week.
And what is your doctor's name?
Dr. Goldman.
Dr. Goldman. Has Dr. Goldman prescribed any medication for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the name of the medications?
No, Mom gives them to me.
I'll probably have you sign a release of medical information at the end of this interview so that I could speak to Dr. Goldman and get additional information regarding your treatment and your medications.
Okay.
Okay?
During the course of the pre-sentence investigation interview, the defendant is routinely asked to read a reading sample to determine if there might be any problems in that regard, such as a learning disability, a literacy issue, or a English as a second language issue.
Would you please read this first paragraph for me so that I know you understand?
I am the
individual
to whom the information.
Yes.
Record.
Interviews can take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to complete, depending upon the complexity of the case, how how forthcoming the offender is in providing information and what length of history they may have.
Mr. Smith, have you ever used any illegal substances?
No.
That includes marijuana use.
Marijuana's not a drug.
Marijuana is considered a drug. Have you ever used marijuana?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first used it?
A pre-sentence report is not routinely requested on all cases that come out of criminal court. In the last 4 years, we've averaged approximately 2,400 pre-sentence reports per year, and that's a relatively small percentage of the total number of cases that come out of court in Philadelphia.
Pre-sentence investigation generally takes 6 weeks to complete, and that would be from the time it's assigned through the information gathering process, the report writing, proofreading, and it's forwarded to the supervisor for approval. Once the supervisor signs off, they forward it to our chief, who signs off on the report and forwards it to the court for sentencing.
Pre-sentence investigations are an expensive proposition. They take a lot of man hours. They take a lot of thought and a lot of hard work. Most of the time, they're done in very serious cases. Felonies involving violence would be the most common time a pre-sentence investigation is done. But there's so many other crimes that are committed that don't require, or a defense attorney doesn't request, a pre-sentence investigation, and therefore they're not done.
In order for a judge to impose an appropriate sentence, a judge needs to have not only a thorough understanding of the crime that was committed and the impact of that crime on the victim, but the judge needs a thorough understanding of the defendant's background. And while that can come from many sources, a complete and thorough pre-sentence investigation is a valuable tool for a judge to understand a defendant's background and the factors that a judge needs to consider